For the past 3.7 billion years, life has been evolving on this planet. Despite the diversity, all living things share one thing in common: DNA, a fundamental code made of only four chemical letters: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Under certain circumstances, your cell, a fifth base, replaces thymine. But the basic genetic alphabet of all organisms, from bacteria to brontosaurus, has remained the same throughout time. There were four different nucleic acid bases. That is, until now. The power of DNA is incredible. You exist because the mix of four chemicals, adenine and guanine, cytosine and thymine, and they form pairs and create life's instructions. But why are there four of them? And why these four in particular? And where did these come from? And what if there are more than four? And you saw the title, so I actually know the answer to that one, but still, I have questions. You're not made of ones and zeros, but you could argue ones and zeros and twos and threes, right? A, T, C, G. Each one of those four chemicals is represented by 3 billion individual letters in our DNA. If you divide them into 240 character groups, you get 145 days of tweeting every second, 12.5 million tweets per person. These base pairs can be combined in an infinite number of ways. Thousands of different variables were discovered in a study of exome variability. In fact, there have been many billions of humans throughout history, and we don't think we've ever seen the same person twice, right? So, DNA is the information code that gives us life. But what if we could store the content of life too in DNA? Images, videos, books, words, memories, calendars, like everything. If you can encode data into DNA could be used to store information in the same way that computers do. Turns out that we can do this. But what if four letters were only the start? Why not 6, 8, 10, or even 12? Some scientists began to think about DNA in this exact way in the mid 1980s, but they only recently succeeded in making their invention work. That's correct. They invented new DNA. The new 8-base DNA is the result of more than 30 years of research. They've got the GA, they've got the TC. They do, however, have two synthetic base pairs, BS and PZ. Surprisingly, when you put it all together, you get a double helix. This new base pair set is designed to look like natural bases. And this 8-base DNA performs the same functions as the 4-base DNA, but with more code. It's known as the Hachimoji, which comes from the Japanese words hat for 8 and emoji for letter. Hachimoji has the same properties as regular DNA. They have created other companion molecules such as RNA that would work alongside it made with a virus, and synthetic enzymes made with bacteria. Then they put those base pairs together to form genes. Synthetic proteins were developed to work with the synthetic genes created using synthetic base pairs. They had to read and write from the new Hachimoji. They put the enzymes, RNA, and Hachimoji in a test tube along with a fluorescent molecule that would glow green when bonded to the RNA. When they mixed them together, it glowed, and they knew it worked. Now you're probably thinking, oh, that's not real when you hear the word synthetic. Synthetic doesn't mean not real, it simply means that they did not evolve in a natural environment on Earth. What if these Hachimoji evolved in a different place? Because we've just proven that they could work through this research. They might be able to create life codes somewhere in the universe. 8 DNA bases or 4 base pairs could have evolved in aliens, and that DNA could store a lot more information in the same amount of space while still being able to create life. This possibility has captivated NASA's interest. But before we get too far off track, the primary purpose of this system will be to store data. Hard drives will fail at some point. The number of read-write operations on solid-state drives is also limited. After a certain amount of time, CDs begin to rot. However, a 2015 study found that DNA could last 2,000 years in the Svalbard seed vaults if kept at 10 degrees Celsius. Now, IDC, a marketing company, worked with Seagate, a data storage company, determined that by 2025 humans are going to have 175 zettabytes of data that we have created and have to store. And 1 gram of DNA could hold 455 exabytes, according to new scientists. Now, to put that in perspective, a billion gigabytes is equal to 1 exabyte, and 1000 exabytes is equal to 1 zettabyte. So I went online to find out how much DNA we have in our bodies, and the math was done by someone. The weight is estimated to be around 250 grams. So, if a gram of DNA can store enormous amounts of data, our bodies, or the amount of DNA in our bodies, could easily outstrip the data requirements of our entire planet, especially if we make it out of 8 bases. So, just kind of a recap. A group of scientists spent decades developing a new 8 base DNA. This new DNA works similar to ours and is lifelike. However, it isn't alive. We can't use it to create life, but we can use it to learn more about ourselves, to better understand how our own programming works, to store more data, and to comprehend the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe. Wow, that's incredible. So the next time you're staring at your body, imagine how much data your fingertips could store. Or if you're even more imaginative, picturing a DNA with 8 bases, think about it for a minute. Because it's possible, and now you know.